I've always believed that love doesn't just disappear overnight. It fades little by little in the quiet moments, in what isn't said, in the touches that don't happen, in the way someone looks at you like they don't see you anymore. That's how it started with Melissa. We've been married 9 years. Not perfect years, but stable. I'm an electrician in Scranton. I get up at 5:30 every morning, pack my lunch, drive my old F-150 across town, and spend 10 hours in boots and gloves, sweating in attics or working under houses. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. I've been with the same local IBW crew for years. I come home sore, dusty, starving, and for the most part just wanting a hug, a warm plate, and a little peace with my wife. Melissa, she works part-time at a small law office. 3 days a week, 9 to 3. We figured that made sense. We've got a 7-year-old, Luke, and someone needed to be around more. She used to love being a mom. She used to meet me at the door with that look. You know the one. Not dramatic or Hollywood. Just that, I'm happy you're home. Look. A smile, a kiss, maybe a hand on my chest. I used to live for that. But things changed. I don't even know when it began exactly, but I remember one night about a year and a half ago, I reached for her in bed, just to hold her, not even to initiate anything, and she pulled away like my hands were cold. Not tonight, she said quickly. I'm just tired. And I believed her. Who isn't tired, right? Luke had been sick that week. She was doing laundry late. I didn't make a big deal of it, but it kept happening, week after week. Not tonight. I have a headache. I feel gross. I have court stuff on my mind. Or the one that hit hardest. Jake, I'm not in the mood for this every night. Every night? I hadn't even tried in over a week. That's when I stopped reaching. I stopped asking. I started keeping track in my head, like an inmate marking tallies on the wall. Days turned to weeks. Intimacy became something we used to have. Like a song that got cut off halfway and no one ever played again. She didn't notice. Or if she did, she didn't care. That's what stung the most. Melissa wasn't cruel, not directly. She still asked if I could pick up milk or fix the garbage disposal. She still said goodnight before rolling over, back facing me, phone in hand, light from the screen glowing on her face like some kind of barrier between us. There was a moment one night that really stuck. I was sitting on the couch after work. It was a Tuesday, I think, drinking a cheap beer, watching the Phillies lose again, and I heard her laughing upstairs. I paused the game and walked up, thinking maybe she was on the phone with her sister or something. The bedroom door was cracked. She was sitting on the bed, wine glass in hand, FaceTiming someone, I think one of her old college friends. She was smiling in that way I hadn't seen in years. Light, flirty, almost playful. I just stood there for a second, unseen, listening to her talk and laugh, and tilt her head like she used to with me. Then she saw me. Her smile dropped. Oh, she said. Did you need something? I shook my head. Just checking in. She turned back to her screen without another word. That night, I lay beside her, not touching, not even facing the same direction, and I stared at the ceiling for over an hour. I thought, is this marriage? Is this what happens after nearly a decade? You become invisible while lying 6 inches apart? Eventually, I started answering her coldness with my own kind of silence. She'd say, "Can you stop at the pharmacy tomorrow?" I'd nod, but not say anything. She'd ask if I could take Luke to soccer. I'd just pick up the keys. Conversations became transactions. I'd ask how her day was, and she'd just say, fine. I stopped asking. One morning, she said something that flipped a switch in me. I was eating cereal in silence, already dressed for work. She walked into the kitchen in her robe and said, "Hey, I need some cash for gas. I'm running low." I looked up and said, flatly, "Don't ask me for anything." She blinked, confused. "What?" I repeated, "Don't ask me for anything." She laughed. Actually laughed, like I had made some dry joke. But I wasn't joking. I got up, rinsed my bowl, grabbed my thermos, and left. That became the rhythm. Every night, her version of "don't touch me." Every morning, mine, "don't ask me for anything." It wasn't revenge. It wasn't spite. It was survival. It was me protecting whatever scraps of self-worth I still had. You see, I was never expecting perfection from her. I wasn't asking for fireworks or red lingerie or any of that fantasy stuff. I just wanted to be seen, to be touched, to feel like I mattered in my own home. But she made me feel like a roommate she didn't like very much. And when I started mirroring that energy, Suddenly, she seemed surprised. I could tell she didn't understand why I'd shut down. She thought I was moody, distant. Maybe she figured I was going through something at work. But no, I was just done being the only one trying. Done knocking on a door that would never open. Funny thing is, when I stopped asking for affection, I also stopped needing her for anything else. I started filling up my truck at a gas station 20 minutes farther just to avoid hers. I packed my own lunches, started cooking my own meals some nights. I even bought a small mini fridge for the garage so I didn't have to go in the kitchen as much. We stopped fighting because there was nothing left to fight about. No one fights in a ghost town. What hurt the most wasn't the sex. It was her lack of effort. She didn't notice I had changed. She didn't ask why I was quiet. She didn't care that I'd stopped coming to bed some nights. She was just content. Content with silence. Content with rejection. Content with being fine. But I wasn't. And what neither of us realized, not yet, was that something much bigger was coming. Something she wouldn't be able to laugh off. Because eventually, even a man who's loyal, patient, and calm gets tired of begging to be loved. That was me, and I was almost gone. I don't know the exact day it happened, but something in me just shut off. There was no explosion, no screaming match. It was quiet, like a switch flipped, and I finally said to myself, all right, enough. She doesn't want you? Stop trying. And from that moment on, I started pulling back in every way I knew how. The funny part is, I didn't even do it to punish her. I just didn't care anymore. I was tired of caring alone. You know that feeling when you give and get nothing back, and eventually it just stops hurting? That's what happened. The first thing I changed was my routine. I used to come straight home after work. Every day. Didn't matter how tired I was. I wanted to be around my family, have dinner, maybe help Luke with his homework, maybe sit on the couch next to Melissa while she scrolled through her phone. Even if we didn't talk much, I used to like just being near her. But now, I started hitting the gym after work. There's an Anytime Fitness on Route 11 that's open 24/7. It's nothing fancy. A few machines, loud music, fluorescent lights, but it was quiet enough at night, and it gave me somewhere else to be. I wasn't going to turn into a bodybuilder or anything. I just needed something for me. Somewhere I could sweat out the frustration, put my headphones in and zone out. And honestly, I liked being around people who weren't miserable. Guys who'd nod when I walked in. A few regulars who'd joke around with me in the locker room. Even the woman at the front desk remembered my name by the second week. Meanwhile, at home, things stayed the same. Melissa barely noticed I was gone longer. She'd be on the couch with her wine and her show, or out on the porch FaceTiming her sister. Luke would already be asleep. When I came home late, no one asked where I'd been. No one even looked up, so I started staying out later. I also started saving money. Quietly. I opened up a checking account at a different bank, one Melissa didn't know about, PNC, just for me. Every Friday, I took out $100 in cash before the paycheck hit the shared account. It wasn't much, but it added up. I figured if I was going to be invisible, I'd at least plan for it properly. And I started canceling stuff. Little things. The family's Spotify account? Gone. Disney Plus? Gone. I switched the Wi-Fi plan to a cheaper tier. Melissa didn't even notice for 2 weeks, until her favorite show wouldn't load fast enough. One night she asked, "Hey, why is the internet so slow?" I shrugged. Had to trim the fat. She looked at me weird, but didn't ask anything else. She kept treating me like a machine. Still asked me to take the trash out, mow the lawn, help her carry groceries like I was a live-in handyman. But every time she asked for something, I gave the same answer. Don't ask me for anything. At first, she thought it was a joke. Then it annoyed her. Then it started to confuse her. She didn't like the new me, the quiet me, the one who didn't reach for her, didn't compliment her hair, didn't notice the new outfits. But that was the point. I wasn't playing that game anymore. One Thursday night, she actually tried to talk to me. We were both in the kitchen. I was eating leftovers straight out of the Tupperware, leaning against the counter. She came in, arms crossed, and said, "You've been acting weird. Is something going on?" I looked up, chewed slowly, and said, "Weird how?" "You're just distant. You don't even sit with me anymore." I nodded. "You told me not to touch you for over a year. I figured this is what you wanted." She blinked. "That's not what I meant. I just kept eating. It's what you showed me." She didn't have a response to that. After that, she tried a few different angles. Started calling me in the middle of the day again, asking if I wanted anything from Target. One night, she came into the bedroom in one of those silk robes I hadn't seen in years. She stood in the doorway like she was trying to give me a signal. I looked at her and said, "Not tonight." She looked like I'd slapped her. The roles had flipped completely. But I wasn't playing games. I wasn't trying to be petty or even get back at her. I just stopped feeling anything. She used up all the no's, and now I didn't have a single yes left in me. I even started fixing up my old '69 Camaro that had been sitting in the garage under a tarp for 4 years. Every weekend, I'd grab a beer, put on some classic rock, and tinker with the engine. Melissa never came out there. I think she thought I was just going through a phase. The truth? I was building something for my exit. A backup life. A sanctuary. Somewhere I still felt like a man. I even reconnected with my dad. We hadn't talked much since my mom passed, and I started driving out to Westchester every couple weekends just to have lunch with him. He didn't ask a lot of questions, but he knew something was off. He told me something simple, but it stuck. He said, "If a woman takes the warmth out of your home, son, you'll end up living like a stranger in your own skin." That's exactly how I felt, and I wasn't going to live like that much longer. Meanwhile, Melissa got more and more confused. She'd watch me like a stranger. One night, she actually started crying when I got into bed and turned away from her. Not loud sobs, just quiet tears. I could feel the mattress shaking. I almost turned around, almost reached for her. But then I remembered the dozens of nights I stared at the ceiling while she lay inches from me like I didn't exist. So I stayed still. That's when I knew. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't trying to prove anything. I was just done. And the craziest part? She still didn't think I'd leave. It wasn't a dramatic decision. No yelling. No final straw moment. It was quiet. Calm. Cold, even. Like I had rehearsed it 100 times in my head and finally hit play. By the time I actually left Melissa, I wasn't mad anymore. I had passed anger weeks ago. What I felt was something different. A kind of clarity. Like walking out of fog. She didn't notice any signs because she wasn't paying attention. And to be honest, I didn't leave a trail. Everything I did was intentional. I had spent the last 4 months preparing silently. The money I'd been saving in my personal PNC account, I didn't touch it, just kept adding to it. I knew exactly how much I needed to furnish a small place and pay first and last month's rent. I researched apartments quietly on my lunch breaks. I even drove by a few in Allentown without saying a word to anyone. I found a decent one, second floor of a duplex, quiet neighborhood. Landlord was an older guy named Greg who didn't ask many questions. He handed me the keys a week before I moved in. Every night after work, I started taking little things with me. Not much, just what mattered. A few shirts, my toolbox, my passport, some pictures of Luke from when he was a baby. I'd load them into the truck before heading to the gym. Melissa never noticed. She thought I was lifting weights and listening to podcasts. Then came a day I knew I was done. It was a Tuesday morning. Same old routine. She was standing in the kitchen in that oversized sweater she always wore, scrolling her phone, drinking her usual iced coffee with almond milk and way too much ice. I walked in, grabbed my thermos from the counter. She glanced at me and asked, "Hey, can you stop at the store after work and grab some almond butter?" I didn't even look at her. Just said, "Don't ask me for anything." She exhaled, annoyed. "You're seriously still on that?" I said nothing. Just tightened the lid on my thermos and walked out the door. That was the last morning I ever spent in that house. That afternoon, I clocked out early. Called in a favor with my foreman. Told him I had to take care of something personal. He didn't ask what. Just gave me a nod. I drove straight to the house, heart steady, mind clear. Melissa wasn't home. Luke was with her mom that day. She always dropped him off there on Tuesdays so she could have a break. I walked in, went straight upstairs, and packed everything I hadn't already taken. A few more clothes, a pair of boots, my shaving kit, and the framed photo of me and Luke at his first T-ball game. That was the only picture I truly cared about. I didn't leave a bunch of notes. No dramatic speech. Just one line, written with a Sharpie on the back of an old electric bill I found on the kitchen counter. It said, "You told me not to touch you for years. Now I won't even touch this house again." I placed the note under her phone charger, figured that's where she'd find it first, and walked out without looking back. By the time she got home that night, I was already gone. The first call came at 6:43 p.m. I ignored it. Then another at 7:05. Another at 7:40. By 9 p.m., I had 12 missed calls and 5 texts, all short and panicked. Jake, where are you? Is this a joke? You better not be pulling some stunt. You didn't take Luke, did you? Jake, call me. Please. I didn't answer. I was sitting on the floor of my new place, eating takeout from plastic container, legs crossed, surrounded by boxes and silence. And for the first time in years, I felt okay. Not happy, not excited, just okay. The next day, she showed up at my job. I was at a residential site in Bethlehem, rewiring a panel in a basement. One of the guys yelled down the stairs, Jake, there's a woman out front. Says she's your wife. I climbed the stairs, saw her standing by her car, arms folded, red in the face. She looked more confused than angry. What the hell are you doing? She asked, marching toward me. You just disappear? You leave a note and vanish. I wiped the sweat from my brow and looked at her calmly. You've been disappearing every night for 3 years. I just finally caught up. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I didn't cheat on you, she said quickly. I know, I replied. You didn't need to. That shut her up. I could see her trying to make sense of it all, like she still didn't get it. Like she never realized I wasn't angry about some things she did. I was numb because of everything she didn't do. I didn't know it was that bad, she muttered. That's the point, Melissa. You didn't care to know. She started crying right there in front of my coworkers. Not full-on sobbing, just those desperate, broken tears where your lips shake and you can't catch your breath. Can we talk? Please. Come home and we'll talk, she said, reaching for my arm. I stepped back. Don't touch me. Her face collapsed. She covered her mouth, nodding slowly, like it finally hit her. I just want us to fix this, she whispered. I shook my head. You wanted me quiet. You wanted space. You got it. This is the result. Over the next few weeks, she tried everything. She left notes on my windshield. Called my dad. Texted me things like, I miss you. Luke keeps asking about you. I can't sleep. I just want to hold you again. Please, just tell me what to do. I answered once. Only once. I said, you didn't want me when I was yours. You only want me now that I'm not. She never replied. Months later, I saw her at Luke's school fundraiser. She looked thinner, tired, dressed up like she was trying too hard. I nodded at her. She tried to smile, but it fell apart fast. When I hugged Luke goodbye, she stood a few feet away, eyes watering. I walked past her without stopping. She whispered, Jake, wait, please. I paused. She said, just one more chance? I looked her straight in the eyes and said calmly, don't ask me for anything. Then I walked to my truck, started the engine, and drove off with the windows down, the cool fall air hitting my face, and peace riding shotgun. And for the first time in almost a decade, I felt free.